All right, all right. We are live. What's going on, guys? Hope everyone's having a great week so far. We're having a really good week. Lots of exciting things going on over here. If everyone can hear me all right, just give me a 1 so I know. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you don't need to give me a 1. I saw some comments on the YouTube video with a 1, but that's not live. This call is live. All right. Got a couple ones here. Where is everyone calling in from? What part of the world are you guys in tonight? All right. Got Wisconsin, New York, Florida, Montreal, East Coast, Philippines, San Diego. How much more of the map are we covering? We got London. We got a lot of familiar faces on this call, which I really like to see. It's a great sign that you guys are jumping on these each week, and we're starting to build something cool here. So thank you for jumping on again. B-Rad, how are you doing tonight?
I am doing fantastic. Yeah, it's good to see some familiar faces here. Shout out NYC.
Yes, sir. All right, cool. Well, we're gonna kick this off. Tonight is another Q&A where if you guys have questions that you want to go through or topics you want to discuss, you just raise your hand in the participant area and we'll call on you in the order in which your hands were raised. If you guys don't want to come up and speak, then you can go ahead and put something in the Q&A chat. And remember, the questions don't have to necessarily just be e-commerce related. If you guys have comments or advice or things you've been working on that have been helpful or anything you want to share, feel free. It's an open floor. So, if you guys start putting your hands up, we will call on you in the order that you were received. And the Q&A box as well. That's the other option here. All right. So I want to just kick off the call with a little monologue. Basically, I want to talk about a concept. Last week, we talked about a cool concept about outperforming your beliefs. And this week, I want to talk about more of a practical concept. Outperforming your beliefs makes sense. But I want to talk about something that I practice regularly, that resonates with a lot of people and, helps people get moving forward in a good direction. It's really what you need to fuel yourself, because starting a business is not easy. Like, there are lots of points in which you're going to want to give up. There's lots of points in which things don't go the way you expect them to. I'd say actually the majority of things that you do don't go as you would expect them to. And sometimes going off course could be discouraging, or it could, make you want to stop doing what you're doing. Or you could just kind of lose the motivation. So I want to talk a little bit about some practical things that you can do, you can implement to keep yourself on track. And it's basically a combination of having a really crystal clear vision of what you want your life to look like, coupled with discipline. Those are two things you got to focus on. A lot of us have one of them. A lot of us are dreamers. We have a vision, but we don't have discipline. A lot of us are hard workers. We have discipline, but we don't really have a vision that we're going after. And one without the other is no good. But if you have both together, it creates some pretty powerful stuff. So first of all, having a vision is really important. It's important that you know how to come up with a vision. A lot of people sitting there listening to this might be like, in a low energy state. They may be, maybe just woke up or been sitting at their desk all day, and they're sitting there trying to think of their vision. Well, that's not going to work. When you want to think of your vision, you want to be in a high energy state. You want to be, some days, I'm sure you guys can relate. Some days you might be in the car and the music's just not that good, and you're talking to people and you just don't feel that connection. And then other days you might be, jamming out to that same song that you didn't like the day before. Or you might run into the same person working at the counter beyond the gym and have a great conversation. Everyone's laughing. That's the difference between low energy and high energy. So when you're thinking about your vision, it's really important to be in a high energy state. And to do that, there's many different ways, but feeling good, moving your body, doing some jumping jacks, push-ups, going for a walk, clearing your mind, meditating, whatever it is makes you feel good. I mean, that's a whole conversation in itself, will get you in that high energy state. And that's when you want to start thinking about your vision. And your vision has to be very specific. It can't be, I want more money, or I want a really hot girlfriend, or I want a bigger house. It needs to be very specific. And the reason I say this, because I recently went through this. I went to a Tony Robbins event. It was called UPW. And we did this exercise. It was really cool, where you imagined yourself as a relative or a really good friend that really cares about you and wants the best for you. And you imagine yourself, as your relative, walking into your house, seeing your car in the driveway, looking at the home, admiring it, walking in, seeing a portrait of your family, seeing the way you set things up, the way you're organized, the way that your character is really shining through your home. And then you walk up to the master bedroom and you're admiring it. And you walk into the bathroom and then you look in the mirror and it's you looking yourself in the face. And it was a really cool exercise because it allows you to think about your vision from someone else's perspective and really to care about yourself. And once you come up with this crystal clear vision, where do I want to live? What part of the country? What do I want my house to look like? What color is it going to be? What kind of car am I going to drive? Literally, what color will it be? What kind of dogs do I have? What does my relationship look like? What kind of person am I? And really honing in on it allows you to start living in that state, and it allows it to start basically fueling your discipline. And the next thing is, once you have that crystal clear vision, you know that all the actions you take are little steps toward that vision. So if you're doing something, it's going to move you toward that vision. Now, having a vision is great, but you also need discipline. And discipline is about consistency. It's about taking action every day, even when you don't want to. And taking action every day obviously makes sense, but there's even more to it. If you set aside, if you're working on your e-commerce business and you set aside 1 hour each day to work, no matter what, you're going to run into days where your mind is telling you that you don't need to today. Oh, I don't have anything to do. Or, oh, I could do all that tomorrow. I could squeeze it all in. Or, it didn't work for me yesterday, so I'm not in the mood today. But if you have the discipline and you do it, you take that action, you're going to run into opportunities that you never would have expected. So there's something really powerful about just taking action. Brad, would you agree with me on that?
Very much so. I would say the one thing I would add to that is that every successful person that I've ever met in my life has a very strong action bias, where they will, before really considering or thinking about something, they'll just do it, because the fastest way to learn if it's going to work is to simply do it. And like you just mentioned, once you do it, right, once you start taking action, there's a lot of positive externalities that come from simply taking action. There's no linear path to get where you want to go. And often what happens is you'll take action towards a certain direction, and then you'll wind up doing something completely different because of something that happened along the way that you would have never even thought would happen or was possible when you originally started. So that's like the number one thing that I think is the most common between all the successful people I know.
Yeah, and I, Brad is somebody who gets a lot of shit done. And I am somebody who's very good at procrastinating. And I think Brad's naturally that way, but he's learned a system. Whenever I'm like, I don't know what to do, I got too much going on, Brad always gives me the advice of just pick something on your list and start doing it, because then you get that momentum. So if you guys ever feel stuck, if you're like, I don't know what to do next, or you think yourself into not doing anything, just pick something and get started on it. So that's today's topic that we wanted to start the call out with. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Now let's get started on questions. You want to call up the first person, Brad?
Cool. Yeah. Teddy had his hand raised first.
All right, can you hear me?
You're loud and clear.
All right, cool. Well, first of all, Jared, I read your book, and that was like actually one of the best ones I've ever read. So, thank you for that.
Thanks.
Yeah, and so I have like two questions. One's kind of bigger than the other in terms of like how it's being answered, but the first one is just in terms to like Facebook ads. And um what's like the difference between like aiming for initiate checkout and purchase? I see like initiate checkout gets like a lot more people to my site, but and I'll get like initiate checkouts, but like no conversion. So like what's the difference in terms of like what to aim for?
Yeah, a lot of people recommend you start with optimizing to view content, gather data, then you optimize to initiate checkout, then you gather data, then you optimize to purchases. I've never done that. I don't recommend it. I think you should always optimize for a purchase right off the bat, although there will be a little bit of a little red circle there telling you that you can't yet. It doesn't matter. You optimize for purchases because that's the data you're going for.
Gotcha. And then I have one more question. It's kind of like a more broad question just about life in general and in relation to business. So
Sure.
like I find that like a lot of people they try to um like especially in like e-commerce and business, sometimes they get like blinded by the fact that like they're chasing the money instead of like actually doing what they love in terms of like building a business and stuff. And so like how do you like what are your guys' like viewpoints on like chasing the money or like and how that relates to just like finding like what you want to do in life? Because I feel like a lot of people get blinded by that and then kind of lose like their overall purpose.
Yeah. Brad, were you going to say something? I saw you unmute yourself.
Yeah. Uh, I would say, I mean, the really I mean, where money originated from, it's a way of keeping score, right? It's a way of keep figuring out who owes what, debits and credits, right? So money is just a store of value. You have to be creating some sort of value in order to earn money, right? So there's almost no point in just chasing money because you'll end up with no money. You need to chase delivering value to people, adding value to people's lives in order to earn money. So number one, that's the fastest way to earn money is to develop something that's valuable, that's adding value to other people's lives. And it's also the easiest way not to get burnt out, because if you're just chasing money, doing something that you don't actually enjoy doing, someone that enjoys it is going to put in a lot more work than you just because they actually like doing it, and will beat you in the long run.
Yeah. And I have a couple comments as well. Basically, if you're consistently focusing on the money, most of the time you're actually focusing on the money you don't have. So you're not like, most of the time you're not like celebrating how much you have. Even if you have a lot of money, even if you have millions of dollars in the bank, like you're still going to look at that and focus on how much you don't have. And just the simple fact that you're focusing on what you don't have actually starts to continue to attract not having it in your life. So, and another point is that, the biggest failure in life is becoming really good at something that you don't like to do. So it's really important to figure out why you like what you're doing or don't do it. So I guess that kind of sum it up for you, Teddy, or?
Yeah, for sure. Gotcha. Yeah, because I like kind of what Brad was saying. When I feel like sometimes when I chase the money too much in terms of like e-commerce, I start to like lose interest and kind of my motivation goes down and kind of get burnt out. So, but that helps a lot. Thank you.
Yeah. And if you can just get excited about the game itself of business, like get excited about how many products you could sell to how many people. I mean, one thought pattern that I would use to keep me excited was that there's millions of products that I could sell to billions of people, all from the power of my house. Like millions of different products that can be sold to billion. It's almost endless, endless
Yeah,
possibilities.
for sure.
Are you
I feel
creative,
like,
Teddy?
wait, what'd you say?
Do you consider yourself a creative person?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Actually, not a little bit. That's kind of like how I like view things, I guess. But I
Yeah.
feel like my mindset, like in terms of like the chasing for the money and like being burnt out, it kind of comes from like kind of when you're in the trenches a lot and you're not getting the results that you see. So you're kind of getting more antsy and kind of pushing to see them quicker. So then you start kind of chasing it. But yeah.
Yeah. You just also have to know that the breakthrough is right there. It could be that next product. It could be that next ad set. It could be that next tweak you make on your website. But before you get to the breakthrough, it's nowhere to be found. You're like, it's never going to work subconsciously, but it's like that next click could be the big breakthrough.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you gotta have fun with it. You gotta come up with some sort of, like, if you're a creative person, you know, I don't know if you're good at video editing or photo creatives, like make some interesting ads with video creatives or photos. Like do something that sparks some sort of enjoyment or sparks your creativity, and it'll become something that's natural to you that you'll just do instead of it being a chore. You'll actually enjoy it, and you'll enjoy the journey of actually creating something, and then the money will be a byproduct of something that you're doing that's actually adding value to people.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
Thanks, Teddy.
Thank you.
All right.
I am gonna butcher this name, Michelad. We're gonna bring you up next. I'm not sure if I totally butchered that or not.
Yeah, close enough. Hi, guys.
All right.
What is the name?
Michelot. It's a
Michelot.
French Canadian name, so.
Okay.
Welcome.
Yeah, I gave you the American version.
Oh, it's okay. Well, first of all, thank you guys for this webinar. Kudos, it's really appreciated. My question is in regard of Facebook ads. Like, I know that the ultimate goal, for example, if you want to sell a product, is to go directly to conversion. But we notice, personally, I notice a lot of difference between CPMs for like a PPE campaign versus a conversion objective. I understand that the quality of the customer is not the same, but you can have a factor of 10. Getting to my question, would it be a good strategy to go for PPE in order to get some data and for cheap data, and after that try to scale or create a lookalike, or always just go to conversion, even though it's going to cost you more for CPM?
So I mean, it's kind of similar to Teddy's question. Basically, you want to optimize for what you want. If you want engagement, PPE campaigns, fantastic, right? But it seems like you want purchases, right? You want some people to buy stuff. Optimizing for conversion campaigns for purchases, it's the way to go. Facebook has trillions and trillions of data points on people that buy things. And so when you optimize for purchases, you're going to get people that are more likely to purchase. So, obviously the CPMs are lower if you're going for a PPE campaign, but if they're 10x lower and not even close to 10x the people are buying, or sorry, 1/10 of the people are buying, you're still kind of overpriced on that audience. So if your CPMs are 10% of the cost, but 1% of people are buying, you're still way overpriced than you would be on like a conversion campaign. Also, if you're creating lookalike audiences off of people that aren't buying your stuff, that's just you perpetuating the overpriced nature of the audience.
Okay, so I was wondering if PPE, in order to get some data, not directly goes to conversion, but gather some data, and for example, a lot of clicks or website visitors.
Yeah, you're gathering bad data. You're gathering data that you don't want.
Yeah, it's a good question, and it makes sense. Yeah. Think like, I could spend a little bit of money, get a bunch of data, and then use that data. But it's a strategy that I used to use like 4 years ago. But Facebook's so smart now that you don't need to do that. So to simply answer your question, it's not a good strategy. It makes sense conceptually, but it doesn't work very well.
Yeah,
thanks for the information.
Yeah, no worries. If you think about the bucket of people that you're gathering data from, it's a less valuable group of people. So you're then creating lookalike audiences based off of that weaker audience.
Okay, so garbage in, garbage out.
Right.
All right, thanks.
All right.
Yeah, it was a good question. Owen, you are up next. How you doing, Owen? Good to see you.
I'm good, Brad. How are you?
Great.
Thank you, and Jared, by the way, for the PDF that you sent me. Right, I have to chime in with Teddy. It was amazing, very, very good information, to a point that there's a couple of things in my lifestyle that I'm going to change now. So right, that's how much I appreciate the PDF. But right, I'll crack on with probably the question that I have for the both of you actually.
Yeah, go ahead, Owen. Then thank you for the compliment on the book.
Yeah, glad to hear that.
Right, again, this is picking up from Teddy, where this is concerning right, when you get into the market space of drop shipping, print on demand, et cetera, there's a right way of doing it by adding value and enjoying what you're doing. But I can't help thinking that there are those of us who just think, well, right, I'm in it for the money because I need to have the money now. Example, oh crap, COVID, lost my job. Right, okay, what's the next thing that I can get into now? You may think that, okay, there's extenuating circumstances to this because this individual has to do something. So I mean, what advice would you give them other than to sort of say, well, you must add value? I mean, that goes without saying.
Yeah.
But to try and get through to these people, I can imagine that it's not so straightforward.
Yeah, and Owen, you're not the only person thinking that. In fact, most people feel that way, and it takes a lot of proactive effort to. It's almost like if you think about how do I get the money, you're not going to get the money because you're thinking about how you don't have it. It takes a lot of proactive effort. I'll give you like practical advice that I use because even no matter what, like no matter how much money you're making, you're going to still have the same feelings and cycles, just at a different scale. So I still go through lots of the same feelings that we're talking about here. It's not like they go away, but for me, actively in the morning, whether it's a meditation or I go for a run or work out or some time to myself, some solitude is very important. And during that time to myself, I'm just thinking about all the exciting things that we got going on or that we could do. And I'm priming my brain to be excited about the opportunity. And what that does is it gets rid of the side of me that's like stressed. I'm replacing my stress and fear with excitement. And it sounds, and you're like, oh, well, how can I replace my stress with excitement when I'm stressed? Well, it takes work. You got to do it every day. You really got to do that. That's important.
Yeah. I guess it's like eating breakfast, lunch, dinner.
In what regard?
Well, right in terms of feeding that, doing the work, feeding what,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I didn't explain myself too well.
Yeah, it's an active process. It's like, and 95, I mean, literally, I've coached like 500 people in our group coaching program, and like the vast majority of them go into this with the scarcity and running out of time and I need this done by now and oh shit, that didn't work, so this isn't going to work. Like that side of their mind was strongly overpowering the, oh my God, this is an amazing business opportunity. Oh my God, there's so many products I could sell to so many people. Like, wow, if I sell 50 of these a day, I could change my life. Like you need to replace the bullshit with the good shit, really.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
Yeah, and you can start small too, right? Like I think where your question is coming from is like if your back's kind of against the wall, like I need the money, right? It comes down to discipline. Maybe you pick up another job, some sort of freelance work. I'm not sure your situation or what you do, but it's never good to operate from a place of fear. And so if you're using the last little bit of savings you have saved up, I'm not saying you are, I'm just saying this as an example. If you're kind of operating from a place of fear, it's almost never going to work out. You're not going to have fun. You're going to be stressed. You're going to make bad decisions. So being disciplined, starting small is also an option. Just having some fun with it, learning, just taking action and learning for that next opportunity that you might have to win big is also really important. You can do something really small and still learn a lot rather than risking a lot, and you might even learn more just from taking it slowly.
Yeah, thank you, Brad. Thank you.
Yeah, good question, Owen. Thanks. All right,
let's bring up Kamal next.
Hi guys, what's up?
Come
Welcome
on,
back,
come on.
Kamal.
Yeah, and hope you guys are doing really great. Yeah, I have two questions for you. And one is about mindset, and the other one is about like on conversion rates. Like, okay, let's go the first one. And what's the right mindset to have like an e-commerce and business? Like and like how's the mindset of like a winning mindset different from like a person who doesn't take action, like from a person who feels like who's in a state of fear whenever he tries to take action, like and how can I acquire the right mindset in e-commerce and life in general?
Well, I'll tell you, you can't acquire it by just thinking about it. So if you're thinking about it and you're not acquiring it, it's because it doesn't work that way. You need to, you got to understand that the mindset starts in your body, getting up, going for a run, getting a workout in, doing something that gets your endorphins going, that gets your adrenals going, feeling good starts to spark that mindset. And then the number two thing is being true to yourself. So if you say you're gonna go for a run every morning at 5 a.m. for the whole week and you don't do it, then you start to lose confidence in yourself. And then it's really hard to keep a winning mindset when you're like, I can't even do what I told myself I'm gonna do that I have full control over. So being consistent and being true to yourself, if you say you're gonna do something, compounds on itself. So I guess the two pieces of advice I got for you are your physiology, so your body, like getting yourself in the right mindset through moving, and being consistently true to yourself on what you're telling yourself you're going to do.
Yeah, I could not agree more with those 2 points. You got to feel good. You got to have good self-esteem. You got to have confidence. You got to keep doing the things that you tell yourself you're going to do. That compounds on itself. The quickest way to change your mental state is to change your physical state. So take a cold shower, work out, do some sort of something to your physical body will change your mental state.
Yeah, that's really great. And yeah, like, and the other thing is like people like your surrounding really matters. So like, how can I get rid of the people like who are not that important, like who are toxic to my life, like people like who don't like challenge me, like people who don't push me to the next level. Like even though those people are not around me, but like maybe like those people who maybe who are not pushing me to the next level might be like my closest friends, maybe my relatives. So like, how can I get rid of those people, because I know they're not they're not helping me in my life.
Yeah, you got to spend less time with them, and it could be less time with them in a physical sense. It could be less time with them interacting via text message or social media. It's just spending less time with them and communicating with them less. As hard as that is sometimes, from especially if it's like a relative, it's very difficult to do. But you'll be much better off for it. You are that thing that people say, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Like, that's real.
Yeah, and honestly, so it's really important to understand that, like, even if you have your family or your friends that like really love and care about you, if you're going after something, you're going after big dreams, and they haven't done that, part of them is going to want to see you fail because they want to prove to themselves that they made the right move, not going after it. Like, taking the safe route was the right move. And you don't want to invite that energy into anything in your life. So not talking about your business, not talking about what you're doing is way better than talking about it, especially people that haven't achieved it. So like, you got to understand that concept. And then the other practical piece of advice that I have goes very closely along the lines of what Brad says, just a little bit more structured, is there's kind of 3 groups of people that are in your life. There's the people that you grew up with, that you're friends with for a long time, you went to high school with, but they're not doing what you want to do. They bring you down, or you're always bringing them up, type of thing. And then you got the people that are right in your sphere. Like, they're maybe making the same amount of money as you. They got the same kind of business going as you. They have the same values as you. They want the same thing in life as you. And then you have the people that you look up to, that you're like, I want my life to be like theirs. I want to be a father like that guy is to his kids. I want to live in that type of house. I want to go travel like this person. And to be practical about it, Brad's group, the one he was talking about in the beginning, you have to spend less time with. You know, you got to be respectful to them because you love them, you know them. You got to wish them a happy birthday. You got to, you know, spend some time with them. But you also kind of get addicted to what you know, and you have to break that addiction from the habits of hanging out with people like that. You want to spend the most of your time in that middle group, the second group, the people that are in the same realm as you. And that's just simply because you can bounce ideas off each other. They're going to keep you motivated. You're going to keep them motivated, and they're great. It's great to watch each other grow. And then that last group, the people you look up to, those are the people you really want to go out of your way to add value to their lives however you could. But I don't mean like reaching out and say, hey, how can I add value to your life? Because that's really a transactional question. It's like, oh, how can I add value to your life? So you allow me in your life. It's more like you're just being a genuinely good person. If you ever get the opportunity to hang out with them, even if you have to drive 2 hours, you take the drive and you spend as much time with those people as you could.
Yeah. And the last piece, like practical advice that makes it a little bit easier to stop spending time with those people that you really care about, but you know that you can't spend that much time with or it'll hurt you, is in the long run, you'll have a better relationship with them if you disconnect from them now and you can fulfill all the things that you want to fulfill. And then you could always spend time with them, right? Later on in life. But for right now, especially when you're in this fragile state of like trying to get some traction, like trying to make something work, you're very susceptible to people's opinions and like outside forces that could affect what you do on a day-to-day basis. So like it'll make your relationship with them better in the long term if you disconnect from them a little bit now.
Yeah, that was really great. And the other thing, like I believe in the concept of like getting advice from people who have already achieved what I want to achieve. But like this, sometimes like my parents, like maybe like my relatives wanna like maybe they give me an advice, but like maybe for them like on their side, like in their mind, they think like if I do that, that's gonna like help me life. But like for me, I know like maybe like if it like doing that is not really gonna help me. So like and like when like I have two sides of it of the two things, like how can I just like go and do my thing, and even though that will just hurt maybe like my parents, like maybe it will hurt my relatives and my friends, I know that if I do that. So like how can I easily get out from that state and then just take action?
You're going to hurt them more in the long run if you continue to engage and like let them negatively affect you. That's what I would say.
And it's all about balance, Kamal. It's not like you got to like cut your parents out of your life by any means. You know, it's just like, don't necessarily talk to them about your business or don't talk to them about what your plans are in the future unless you respect their opinion. If you don't respect someone's opinion, then don't talk to them about what you're doing. But you don't have to like say it's 0 or 100. Yeah. You just spend a little bit less of your energy. You know, your parents you got to be with. I mean, you gotta love your parents. But you know, the friends that are bringing you down, you don't owe anything to them.
Yeah. Yeah, you can separate like the gratefulness for your parents and at the same time not respect their opinion on business. Just depends how they've lived their lives and your perspective on that. But like Jared said, you don't owe anyone else anything.
Yep.
Yeah. That was really great, man. And the other thing I had for you guys is like about conversion rates. So like how can I increase like my conversion rates in my store? Like getting people to the store is the first thing, but like if you're not converting the traffic you're getting, like it's not good. So like what action steps can I take? What action steps can I take in order to increase my conversion rate?
Yeah, I'm a big data guy, so I can talk about conversion rate for hours. There's a whole we can nerd out on multivariate testing and all this other stuff, but I would say like at a high level, there's a couple things that you really want to focus on. Your landing page is obviously going to have the most impact, right? That's where you're getting people to the landing page, trying to get them to convert. Price, your offer, and how the landing page is set up logistically are going to be the three things that are the most important. So obviously, if you lower price, you're going to get higher conversion rate. If you offer a more enticing offer, buy two, get one free, things like that, you're going to increase your conversion rate and your average order value. And logistically, the most important thing for conversion rate is making sure that your call to action button is above the fold. So what does that mean? It means the add to cart or buy now button, whatever you're using, it should be a nice, bright, pretty color. Green is typically the best, and it should be you shouldn't have to go anywhere to find it. So on mobile, this is the thing a lot of people sleep on. Make sure that that button is, you don't have to scroll down at all to get to it. It should be right when you land on the landing page, it should be visible. And on desktop too, obviously. A lot of things that people don't do is like they'll test their landing page on desktop, but they won't test it on mobile, where a lot of people are purchasing from mobile. So you check your traffic too. You can check to see who's coming from desktop, who's coming from mobile, what percentage. You might have 60% of people coming from mobile, and your add to cart button is way down at the bottom, or you actually have to scroll down to get to it. So that right there is going to cost you some conversion points.
Yeah, and like maybe having a stick add to cart will really help, right? Like because like on sticky add to cart, whenever they scroll down.
Yeah, there's 100 things you can do. Oh, Brad,
you just got to make sure.
You're frozen.
Sorry, I had a bad connection there for a second. I would say, yeah, sticky add to cart's good. Just make sure it's not slowing down your landing page. Page speed is also extremely important.
Yeah, there's so many themes now that are like have built-in conversion rate optimization. It's a good question, but Brad pretty much answered it with price. What your landing page looks like, what your title is, all that stuff. But you got the themes now are good. But come on, we gotta move on to the next person because we are running low on time. We still got a bunch of hands raised.
Yeah, thanks, Jared. Yeah, I highly appreciate you guys. I'm really enjoying the webinars, and I appreciate you guys. Yeah.
Awesome, man. We appreciate your great questions.
Thank you, man. Yeah. Load page speed time, super important too. Yoni is up next. What is up? You just need to unmute your mic. I'm not sure if you can see that on the bottom left-hand side of your screen.
Not working. We'll have to come back to Yoni.
Okay, Ava is up next.
Hi, can you hear me?
Hey, yes, we can.
Hey, so I'll get right to it. I know we're short on time. I have a question. So I'm on Zendrop, and I was thinking it seems like the only products you guys have that are made in USA are t-shirts and clothing. And I'm concerned that like for the holiday season, a lot of people are going to buy, not just impulse buy, but like for gifts. And if they don't arrive on time, they're going to be pissed, or this is my thought anyway. And so I'm concerned that most of your products are coming from China unless there's like t-shirts.
Yeah. So a good concern. It's a couple things here. Number one, you're correct. Most of the products that we have are shipping from our warehouse in China. We are in the middle of an integration right now with a company that's adding about 200,000 products that are in the US that are going to ship in 3 to 5 days. So we're trying to get that done as soon as possible. What's really important, because the thing about drop shipping is it makes your life much easier. If you want to go ahead and buy inventory and store them in the US and ship them faster, we can certainly help you with that. But most people, don't really want to put that effort into it or don't want to put the funds into it. So they ship from China, and that's kind of like the balance of maybe not the best feature, but it's the business model so easy that they go with it. What's really important is that you communicate clearly with your customers. So if it's coming around the holidays, around Christmas, you have something on your website that says order by this date to get it by Christmas. You don't want to sell something like 5 days before Christmas. Somebody's expecting a gift and then it doesn't show up on time. So really clear communication is key.
Okay, and then my next thing is so on the Zendrop site, when I look for trending items, sometimes I see things like yesterday I was looking and I saw a bunch of what looks like summer pool toys, but it's October. So I'm just wondering, like, is there an algorithm mess up, or why would that be trending?
That's a good question. I don't know if there's an algorithm that's picking those products or not. Brad, do you know about that?
We haven't put too much, to be completely honest with you, we haven't put too much development effort into the trending category. So I wouldn't take that at full face value. It's likely that a lot of those products were sold in the past, and that's why they're on the trending category. So, I mean, there's tons of great spy tools out there that will show you like what products are trending right now, but I wouldn't put too much weight into what's trending on Zendrop. Just full transparency.
No, that's really great info. So I should look at other sources for what's trending, but then go back to Zendrop and search for them on there.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're looking for like fast, obviously the fastest shipping possible, express shipping is pretty damn fast. And you can just have a firm cutoff date on like, if you know that the shipping time is, 5 to 8 days for that country, you can just stop delivering ads to that country on, 8 days before Christmas.
Gotcha. And when you said your favorite spy tools, is there one you could share? Like, what's your favorite spy tool you could share with us, maybe?
Yeah, there's a bunch of them. I mean, Adplexity is pretty good. There's
Adplexity?
Yeah, it's probably like the most expensive one, but it's the best one.
Yeah, you got Adplexity, you got AdSpy. You can rewatch the webinar where we had Justin Wool on. He gave a really great product research method. And there's tons of spy tools. It really comes down to testing. You're going to find a lot of products that are trending products pretty easily. But the funny thing is that if I'm selling a product right now and I'm selling $1 million a month of it, and I give you that product, it's not guaranteed that it'll do well for you. Like the algorithm's weird. Facebook ad accounts are weird. So it comes down to picking really good products and then testing as many as you could.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. Like Jared and I could run the same campaign from different ad accounts and we can get totally different results because of the previous data in the ad accounts, a multitude of factors. But you've just got to test, and you'll find something that works.
Okay, and then one question: when you guys talk about, you guys like don't think about what you like, think like a marketer, but like, what does think like a marketer mean? Or is that too long of an answer?
Well, no, it doesn't mean think like a marketer. It means that what you like has no correlation with what's going to bring you success on what you sell on your store. It means that you need to test and have data tell you what's going to work, even if you think it's the stupidest product in the world and nobody would ever buy that. I've sold products that are so outrageously dumb. Like I sold like 100,000 of these like little stuffed hamsters that would repeat everything you said to them that I would never buy. It was like a horrible product, but like the market wanted it. So what we mean is like your opinion on a product should not sway you on whether you should or shouldn't sell it in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different factors that you may not be considering that people may value.
Gotcha. Okay, well, thank you guys so much. I know I asked a bunch of questions, so I'll let someone else go.
Appreciate it. All good questions.
Appreciate the questions. We got some questions in the chat box. Letty asked, where can I find the replays of these webinars? We email out all the replays, so you'll get those. And then they're also on our YouTube channel, along with our podcast, anywhere that podcasts are listened to. David asked, how long does it take Zendrop to source a product if I request it from an AliExpress supplier? I think you confused that question a little bit. If you request it from an AliExpress supplier, that has nothing to do with Zendrop. But if you put I think what you're asking is if you paste the AliExpress link in our instant import feature, the way we built that is a way that we can get a lot of product quotes for people quickly. So basically what you're doing there is you're taking the AliExpress link, you're giving it to us, and then all that data gets put on Zendrop so you can start selling it. And then once you make your first sale, it goes into a sourcing pile, which takes about 1 or 2 days. And we go ahead and we put the pricing on there for you right after it's done. But we allow you to sell it right away so you don't have to wait for us to get back to you. And then typically it's like 1 to 2 days before it's sourced.
Yeah. So just to clarify even further, you're not sourcing it from AliExpress. We're not sourcing it from AliExpress. All you're doing is scraping the data from the AliExpress listing. And then we're sourcing that using our fulfillment center and sourcing team. But you'll get a quote after you make a sale. And one important thing to note about that is a lot of times on the AliExpress listing, you'll see a product for like $4, right? It'll say like $4 shipped to the US, right? Like maybe it's even free shipping. But if you do a little bit of digging and research, you'll realize that typically the price they're leading with is a very low price. It's a price that has really long shipping times and like limited tracking, if sometimes no tracking at all. And then, you know, we're going to source the product with reliable shipping that's fast and has good tracking. And so sometimes it'll be higher than that AliExpress listing. What I suggest you do if you're doing that is go ahead and look at what the product is going to be in total if you had shipped the product, let's say like via DHL or like a good reliable shipping method to the US. That'll give you a much more accurate representation of how to price the product on your product page. So you're not surprised when we quote you know, a price that's higher than that original AliExpress listing, because you're kind of getting duped on that AliExpress listing.
Yeah, AliExpress is really good at being deceiving about pricing. So like they want it to look as cheap as possible, but then when you go to actually buy the product, there's different fees. The shipping cost is always set to like the worst shipping. So just go through to buy it and you'll see the actual price. So our price is always very competitive with the actual price, if not better.
The actual price with reliable shipping, that's the important part.
Right, which if you don't have reliable shipping, you don't have a business. So cool. Couple other questions here. Let's see. Do you need a mastermind to level up faster? You don't need a mastermind to level up faster. When I first got started, I didn't do any kind of stuff like that. I just kept trying shit until something worked. But now I go to masterminds regularly because once you start to get momentum, surrounding yourself with those types of people increases your network. And then the better the network, the way I like to put it is like, if you're a beginner and you're throwing a bunch of shit at the wall, like only a little bit of it's going to stick. But if you have a lot of experience, like you throw some shit at the wall and like most of it sticks because your know-how and your network is much stronger than it was when you were a beginner. So I do recommend joining mastermind groups, or even just being on calls like this is really good. So yeah, I hope that answers the question. A couple more questions. We got a couple hands up, and then I think we'll probably run out of time after Tony and Allison. Somebody asked if we can have Scott Hilsey on the call next time. Scott's in Florida right now. We just played some golf today. So, but no, he's not on the call this time. We'll get him on sometime for sure. Teddy asked, is there a webinar every week? I don't want to say every week, but let's say at least 50 weeks out of the year. We're going for it. Unless there's a reason why we can't do it. We love doing this stuff. Like, we love answering questions. We love connecting with the community. So we are going to do our best to get on one of these every week. Let's go ahead and call up Tony, and then we'll answer a few more of these questions.
Can you hear me?
Hey, Tony.
Hey, Jay.
How we doing?
Good, good. Hey, Brad.
Hey.
So what I'm wondering about is this impulse buyer psychology, and how important is the price? I think I heard somewhere somebody said $30 was kind of the impulse range. You got any thoughts on that?
The impulse range is a broad range. It totally depends on the product. The pricing, one point to grasp that's important. If you're selling a product on Facebook, you're engaging someone with an ad, you know, there's a flash sale, or we're running out of stock, or whatever it is, and people go on the site and buy it. The point about pricing is that it doesn't have to be better than the price on Amazon, or it doesn't have to be better than the price anywhere else, because people aren't going and searching necessarily. Some people are, but if you're selling a product and you're selling it for more than it is on Amazon, that's okay. Like, you'll lose maybe 10 or 15% of customers that go to Amazon, but that other 85% are going to pay your price for it. And the price range, I'd say the sweet spot is between like $30 and $80, but I've also seen lots of products for $100, $150 as impulse buys as well.
Okay. Because I was thinking maybe price was my issue, you know, because I have tons of traffic, but no sales. Some products are like 50, 60 bucks.
You probably don't have an issue. You probably just haven't broke through yet. You just got to keep testing products. You know, a lot of times people too early on think too deeply about why things aren't working when you're not wasting your energy thinking that way because you're going to learn some stuff, but you are potentially discouraging yourself from because you're thinking that way. Like, you're probably not doing anything wrong. Your pricing's probably not wrong. You probably just didn't hit that product. You just got to be ready to test like 15 to 20 more products.
Yeah,
Really.
and I would think of it, it's almost like you're performing an experiment, right? Essentially on your offer, right? So you want to have as many control variables as you can in order to perform this experiment, right? So you want to make sure that your landing page is solid, right? And like the things you mentioned before aren't lacking. Like, you want to give yourself the best chance you can. But once all those things are in place, like Jared said, there's really not much to do other than test. So you want to make sure that you have those controls in place. And other than that, you know, you really might not have an issue. You might just not have broken through yet.
Okay, very cool. All right, thanks a lot.
Thanks, Tony. Couple other questions. David asked if we could have Connor Shelafontiak on the call sometimes. I think we already have him scheduled, right?
Yeah, I think 2 weeks from today, he's going to be on.
Okay, so that's good news for you, David. Letty asks, which day do we have a call with Adrian Morrison? I missed it. Can you send me a link? I haven't gotten any emails of the replays. Just go to our YouTube channel, Letty, and it's right on there for you.
Yeah, or literally just Google, you know, Zendrop, Adrian Morrison, and it should pop right up.
Yep. Okay, we answered Tony's question. Okay, let's call up Allison, and then I think that's probably going to wrap it up for us. If you guys have any last minute questions or really want to jump up here, go ahead and type them in there and or raise your hand. We'll see if we can get to you. Hey, Allison.
Allison, you're signed in 2 accounts. That may be the reason you're having issues using your microphone. I know that's happened in the past. Let me try to call the other account up and see if that works. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's going to work. You might want to just type your question out. Sorry, I think we're having some technical issues here. One more question real quick that we didn't get to in the Q&A was where does data in Facebook live? Where is it stored? Is it at the pixel level, ad account level, campaign level? So just as simple as I could put this, the pixel is the thing that's transferring the data. It's capturing the data and sending it from your website back to your ad account, and the data is stored at the campaign level. So all of the data from a certain campaign will be in that campaign and distributed to the ad sets and the ads in that campaign. Allison, do you have a question that you wanted to write to us in the chat box so we can get to it real quick before we wrap up? When you source a product and you give a quote, how much more do we mark it up? So essentially a typical, like a pretty good range is like 2 to 3x. You kind of want to be in that, like a good typical dropshipping store that's doing well is like 30% ish cost of goods. That's like the typical range. So like 2 to 3x is probably a pretty good mark.
Yeah, and it depends on the price point. So if it's like $2 on Zendrop, you could sell it for 10 or 14. Right. But if it's like $75 on Zendrop, you're gonna have trouble selling it for $200. You might want to sell it for $120 or $150. You just got to leave yourself room to have, like, the sweet spot on a cost per acquisition on a good campaign. Once you scale it to doing hundreds of orders a day, is like $25 CPA. So if you can get your average order value up to $50 and the cost of goods on that is, $15, and you're spending $25 on acquisition, you're leaving yourself $10 profit on each order. That's before email. That's before retargeting. That's before Google for your store name. So you want to be at like enough room to have a $25 cost per acquisition at scale.
Yeah, and it's really all about the perceived value of the product. Like Jared said, if the product costs $2, but you can sell it for $24.99, obviously that's going to give you really good margins. It's about the perceived value of it.
Yep. Okay, cool guys. Another great call. We appreciate you guys joining us on this wonderful evening. If you have any other questions, make sure to join us next week. If you enjoyed the call, if you're watching this on YouTube, give us a like. We'd appreciate it. And yeah, guys, we're looking forward to seeing you guys next week.
Thank you guys. Have a good night. We'll see you next week.